Hello, my name is Dillon Hill and I decided to do my presentation on Jan van Eyck. Why Van Eyck? The reason I decided to select Jan van Eyck as my artist to write about is because his work was so different from contemporary Italian painters during this time. He was also very religious, he was a Catholic, and a lot of his artwork is connected to him through religion. He also created an oil coating system which I thought was very interesting. His style and period of art. He was connected to many different periods of art, but the period he portrayed the most would be the Northern Renaissance period. Van Eyck was known to change the whole period completely during this time with his creations and work of art. Van Eyck's medium. For a very long time, Jan van Eyck's medium was shown from him being the artist that came up with the discovery of painting in oil. However, this was completely wrong. Oil painting had already been in existence for a very long time, in which it was used to paint sculptures and existed around the time frame of the 8th and 9th century. Jan van Eyck did have a wonderful creation, though, of a stable varnish that would dry at a consistent rate. In order to create this, Jan used linseed and nut oils and created with resins. The wonderful creation was created when Jan mixed the oil into the actual paints that his brother Herbert and he was using. The result was brilliance, translucence, and intensity of color as the pigment was suspended in a layer of oil that also trapped light. The flat, dull surface of tempera was transformed into a jewel-like medium, at once perfectly suited to the representation of precious metals and gems, and, more significantly, to the vivid, convincing depiction of a natural light. Influences. Due to the fact Van Eyck was extremely religious, he worked for several members of the royal families and often painted many religious images in which he was best known for. His religion, Catholicism, gave him many reasons to make some of his wonderful works of art that we still continue to admire today. He not only did paintings for court, he also did many paintings for private clients. Legacy. Jan van Eyck was a really interesting artist and had many different wonderful works of art, but his best creations consisted of the Ghent altarpiece, which was created in 1432 to be the altarpiece for the Church of St. Bavon, Ghent and Alnefini wedding, which is created in 1434. His works of art, including these, are influential as they consist a lot with his religion, Catholicism. As many years have gone by, these works of art are very important in history, but aren't as relevant as they once were, considering the difference of 6 centuries. Successful? He was very successful with his contributions to the time period. During his time of existence, he was considered by many to be the leading painter of his day. It is also known that Jan van Eyck was one of the highest paid of the Netherlands painters during this time. Some of this success is accounted for by his mastery of oil painting techniques and glazes. Role in the history of art. The importance of Jan van Eyck in the history of art is because he was essential, not exclusively toward the Northern Renaissance, yet to the whole Renaissance itself. As stated earlier, he is credited with the development of the oil coating system, which replaced the prior egg tempera method. In the earlier years of Renaissance, Jan mostly started with a monochromatical drawing, with using the method of egg tempera based on painted on a wood board, and after the layers of oil coats were painted over it. This new creation allowed rich details along with luminous colors to work directly in oils and on canvas. Regardless of whether Van Eyck was really the principal individual to utilize this new medium, might be auxiliary significance to the accomplishments of his work, for he is genuinely a master of careful detail and very much arranged pieces. Fun facts. Some interesting facts from the life of Jan van Eyck is that of the time he was one of the few painters who could read and write. During his career of being a painter, he painted hundreds of paintings, but only 9 were signed by him and are known to exist. Jan added a message to the Arnolfini wedding project that recommends he painted himself into a picture. One of his paintings depicts Mary and infant Jesus called Madonna of Chancellor Roland. He was known by many as the King of Painters and was traditionally known as the father of oil painting. The love of painting runs in the family. It is thought that Van Eyck had 2 brothers that were both painters. Here are my citations for the pictures. Thank you for taking your time to listen.